Hey guys, Paul here with episode 3 of the Monday Mancast. Gosh, is it the third week already? Seems like I just started doing this in the past couple of days. But I don't know, you know what they say. Time flies whether you're having fun or not. And lucky for me, I'm having fun. But this is a show or a podcast or just Paul barfing up his ideas and opinions, whatever you want to call it, that I'm doing at the end of every weekend, especially for the people that support my work on Patreon. I wanted to give them some MP3s to download, something to get them back and forth from work. Also is just a thank you, because I know it counts for a lot when somebody parts, even with a buck, even if they're willing to toss in a buck to the tip jar. It counts a lot given what men have to do for their money. I'll get into more of that later. But this is where I just get to, say fuck a lot, bash feminists, bash coercive traditionalists, or what I call man-up traditionalists, which is, I think, a good way to put it. Because, the thing is, the married guys out there, guys taking care of their families, taking care of their kids, getting up and doing what they believe is the right thing every day, I got no qualm with those guys. I've made it no secret that I would never get married under any circumstances. Not now, not ever. But that doesn't mean I got an urge to look down my nose at guys who do get married. I'm still glad I'm seeing that less and less these days. But for the guys that have already done it, the guys, especially the guys I know and know about who don't run around lecturing other guys to man up and do what they do, I got a lot of love for those guys. Got nothing bad to say about them. And don't care much to listen to anything bad being said about them either. Which brings me to another thing. I debated myself quite a bit on how to structure this talk, what to do with it. And one of the things that I came up with was that maybe I could take the opportunity to respond to some stupid comments. And you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that. It's tempting, because it's like one of my flaws, I suppose, as a human being. And I guess my life is a pretty good example of being somebody that reacts and that says something, and that maybe a chip on my shoulder sometimes. You're not going to plead guilty to that. But I'm sort of like a Donald Trump with no money and no power. I got a lot to cover tonight. Part of it I'm going to cover here as we get started, and other parts of it are going to wait for the Patreon version of this, the extended version. But I'm going to start with one of the most fucked up news stories I've ever read. And it's an article on mansplaining, which is one of the most stupid ideas that I've ever heard, but it is really going to new heights in Sweden. I read this article in The Independent, and just in case, I wanted to say where it was from, and it'll be linked in the low bar, but in case you really thought that I was reading this from The Onion or something, it isn't from The Onion. It is from The Independent, and it's a serious story, and the title is Swedish Women Get Hotline to Report Mansplaining. What I'm going to do here is read you the entire article, just so you can hopefully wrap your mind around this stuff. And I give you kudos if you make it through all the way through listening to this. And even though it was written in, I want to say, somewhat objective fashion, they did give the dissenters a voice in this piece. It's still the level of stupid in this, the level of, oh gosh, I don't even have a word. I don't think we have a word for that stupid. Maybe dead. But I don't know if dead qualifies as stupid. But anyway, here we go. From The Independent, Swedish women get hotline to report mansplaining. Mansplaining is when a man explains something to a woman without being asked, particularly something which she might already know more about than him. Women who have things mansplained to them in the workplace can now report it to a dedicated hotline. Unionen, that's spelled U-N-I-O-N-E-N, Sweden's largest union, is encouraging members to call up when male colleagues give them unsolicited lectures on things they already understand. The organization, which represents 600,000 private sector workers, launched the advice line on Monday and said it will be open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day for a week as part of a campaign to highlight and stamp out the insidious and damaging practice. Anyway, going on, for those who might not be familiar with the modern portmanteau, the Union defined mansplaining as a man explains something to a woman without being asked, particularly something which she might already know more about than the man. Union then said the commonplace practice diminishes women by making them appear less competent than they are. A study by the American Psychological Association found that men, and I'm quoting the APA here, tend to overestimate their intelligence to a much greater extent than women, and showed that self-assurance in men grows with age. Union then said the phone line, which will be staffed by a gender expert and a group of feminist politicians, comedians, and scientists, is about, guess what? Equality. It's about putting your finger on the small everyday problems which become large when they stack up. When left unchecked, mansplaining can contribute to men earning more than women and being promoted faster, the organization said, something most of us, regardless of sex, think is unfair and want to change. The hotline will advise upset and frustrated callers on what action they should take next and aims to help them move on. But there are no set answers. Instead, the people staffing the line will have the freedom to say what they want based on their own experiences. I'm assuming that means unless they mansplain. Unsurprisingly, the initiative unleashed a flood of negative comments on Union's Facebook page, particularly from men. How would women react if you used words like old biddy chat or female whining? Equality can't be won using negative invective, but should be built using mutual respect and partnership. But maybe I'm the only one who thinks so, Daniel Bergman of Sundsvall wrote on their Facebook page. Others, such as Jim Bronlund from Stockholm, were even blunter. Just what we need in society, more popularism. And people wonder why right-wing populism is on the rise. You are retarded, he wrote. Others defended the campaign, however. Linda Landgren wrote, "Good initiative. Judging by the comments, it seems quite a lot of men feel this is aimed at them, so it shows how much this kind of work is needed." Some said that while they would support a campaign against sexist behavior, they thought that the references to mansplaining should be removed. Change the name of the event. Mansplaining is incredibly sexist, Fanny Uppenberg said. But Union said it was important to look at historical structural inequality in society. The campaign is not intended to single out or add debt to all men, the organization said in a statement. The campaign aims to raise awareness among all of us, regardless of gender, about this phenomenon and hopefully begin a joint change. Everyone benefits that. I think this should be when, but it reads that. Everyone benefits that we visualize suppression techniques and talk about them. It added, and there's a quote here, "There's a structural problem built into the concept mansplaining that cannot be ignored. The Union shares the analysis that mansplaining is more often performed by men, and we believe it is important to talk about the problem on the basis of analysis for us to bring about change." Union's gender expert, Peter Ty Christensen, elaborated on this explanation. "We all react differently to changes in society. Some of us develop and integrate, while others of us consciously or unconsciously resist," he said. Mansplaining can be interpreted as a reaction to the fact that traditional gender roles are being renegotiated. End of article. Let's start first with that last part. Gender roles were never negotiated in the first place, so they can't be renegotiated. This is one of the things that I love about the Red Pill movie, because what Cassie J managed to take in from all the MRAs that she talked to and then extend back out into the movie and to paint quite clearly that our position is that patriarchy didn't shape gender roles, that basically the role of women as the ones having babies and their need for protection and provision was what shaped what feminists ended up calling patriarchy. I personally think that's a misnomer. But as usual, the feminists have put the chicken before the egg. They think that we had a patriarchy and then we shaped gender roles with it. Wrong. obviously, clearly wrong. Even anybody who's thinking about it is wrong. Anybody who even considers for more than 10 seconds. The idea of the chronology being that we invented patriarchy before we had people doing jobs related to their sex is just nonsense. But that, of course, that explains a lot of feminism. I want to go back over a couple of points and just to make sure that you heard them correctly. Unionin said the phone line, which will be staffed by gender experts and a group of feminist politicians, comedians, and scientists, is about equality. Nobody in this audience is any stranger to hearing the canard that feminism is about equality. But that's, this is how you sell shit. This is how you sell shit in Sweden. It's how you sell shit in Canada, the U.S., Australia, Mexico, Latvia, the Ukraine. You sell, we're being fair to women. And then, anybody that challenges that, of course, is like the ogre under the bridge that can't be trusted and is a bad guy because anything you say is about quality, no matter how outrageous. I mean, this is, to me, it's not about equality. It's about misogyny. This is one of the most insulting things. If I were a female in Sweden and a worker in that union, I would be out of my mind that people assumed that I couldn't handle somebody coming up to me and explaining shit to me that I already knew. I mean, how many people out there can't do that? Apparently, a lot of Swedish women and a lot of American women can't draw boundaries around themselves and can't have healthy working relationships with other people who sometimes are a bit officious. I got news for all the cupcakes out there. I've had plenty of men and women in the workplace that want to explain to me their ways of doing shit and who think they've got the best way. We call them assholes, not mansplainers, and they come in both sexes. And when they come along, it's really easy for me, and always has been, to look them in the eye and say, you know what, thanks a lot, but I got this, okay? So just take your advice over to your own department and go do your own job. And of course, if it comes from a supervisor, it's a little bit different story. What's the difference in the story? Yeah, that's right. Because your supervisor has the right to tell you. Supervisors get to do all the mansplaining that they want to do because they're fucking supervisors. So let's assume that this is really talking about coworkers. And the supposition here is that women are too fucking stupid, are too fucking weak, are too fucking incompetent, are too fucking incapable to look somebody that they work alongside with in the eye and say, I got this, leave me alone. Go do your own work. So you need a hotline, ladies. You hear that? You hear that, little cupcakes? You hear that, little snowflakes? You need you a hotline because I'm sure you have tremendous feels that need to be let out. When somebody mansplains to you in the work something you already know how to do. Shit, if you knew how to do anything, the stuff wouldn't bother you. My God, this is incredibly stupid. But that is, and the rest of this, we can hack this to death. The woman comes to the comments at Facebook and says, judging by the comments, it seems quite a lot of men feel this is aimed at them. So it shows how much this kind of work is needed. So because we object to sexism, because we object to the stereotyping, because we object to another way to come into an area of our lives and bully and harass us with things like hotlines and potential trouble and all this other crap. Because we object to that, then that's the proof that you need to do it, right? That's like taking a lynching victim and say, well, look at him, he's hanging there. No wonder it needed to be done. What else? What else about this fucked up story? The union shares that analysis that mansplaining is more often performed by men, and we believe it is important to talk about. Wait a minute. It's not, they were just saying it wasn't targeting men. But it is. But it isn't. But it is. But it isn't. Yeah, well, bullshit. And of course, we get to one of their big talking points is that And this was in one part of it, it said, when left unchecked, mansplaining can contribute to men earning more money than women. You get that, guys? They pay you to mansplain. Corporations do. If you're a mansplainer at work, you're going to end up making more money by telling somebody else how to do their fucking stupid ass job. Then you're going to earn more money. And there may be something to that. Maybe if you care enough about your workplace that you're willing to help advise other employees on how to be more efficient, how to do their job better, how to get it done, be part of a team, then maybe you're also the kind of personality that's going to lead to more money. You think? Maybe? No? Oh, I guess the feminist wouldn't agree with that. But yeah, so there's the cause for the wage gap, guys. It's mansplaining. And of course, the answer to that is to teach women to stand up for themselves by calling and snitching. Get how this works? And guys, we're coming close already. I've already gone over for what I was going to talk about for the YouTube version of this. Let me leave you with a couple of thoughts before we move on. So I just want to offer a couple of final thoughts on this. As I said a minute ago, officious explanations aren't gendered. Think of all the ways women control by telling you the right way to do things. Any of you guys ever had things femsplained to you? I can remember when I was married, and I knock on wood every time I say that because I'm no longer married. I didn't feel like I could wipe my butt without being told a better way to do it. I remember my ex-wife, I was adding cream to my coffee. And she said, if you put the cream in the cup first and then pour the coffee in, you don't have to stir it. And if that were the only thing she ever said, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But of course, it pertained to everything else in life. And of course, I learned to use it as a weapon. I mean, she stood over me watching me fill the dishwasher about 1,000 times, telling me this way and that right way was the right way. And finally I said, what can I say? I'm just a man. You do it. And so I left the dishes alone. And it was the same thing with the laundry. Now, I did my own laundry, but it bugged her to no end. And she told me constantly about all the different groups of laundry in different temperatures. And I knew about that shit, but you know what? That isn't the way I do things. I was driving a truck. I was like, throw all your clothes in the washing machine, put it on warm water, wash them. Nobody ever came up to me later on and said, gee, Paul, your jeans look like they were washed at the incorrect temperature. Never had that shit happen, but I had abundance of femsplaining in there to get it. So bottom line on this, get over it. No one should get a hotline for shit they can handle in 10 seconds with a spine and a little thought. I want to remind you guys, by the time you hear this, you will likely also have been made aware through a video or through a post that ICMI 17, Gold Coast, Australia, tickets are going on sale. We're going to be having a hell of a time down under, guys, in June of next year. I realize not everybody can make it. Australia is a long trip. But I think when you read about or hear about the details of this conference, you may want to try to figure out a way to come because it's going to be a barn burner. We got a lot of good stuff lined up. More on that to come. Also, Robert Franklin of Fathers and Families, an attorney from here in Houston, is going to be joining me for the Q&A at the Red Pill movie that is screening here in Houston on December 15th. Tickets in the low bar. Check it out. Enjoy yourself. What's coming up next here on the Monday Mancast, we're going to talk about why Canada is on its way to becoming a hybrid of Sharia law and North Korea. We're going to talk about the expansive, sweeping case of butt hurt spreading across liberal America with Trump's election, the political possibilities of a Trump administration. There is all of that coming up in the extended Mancast. Till then, we'll see you guys next time.